All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little video, a recap of the Christmas game between the Lions and the Vikings. What an amazing game. Both these teams are 8-8 now. I mean, that just speaks such volumes about how wild of a year this has been in the NFL. The Vikings have been given up for dead for weeks. The Lions were thought to be a Super Bowl contender, and here we are with 1 week to play, and they're both 8-8. Minnesota wins the game 23-10. Detroit's just super banged up. And once they lost Brian Branch like 3 weeks ago, they were cooked. That was pretty much it. Today they lost Alex Anzalone and others. Detroit dominated the ball. They had 64 plays in this game, only 51 for Minnesota, 231 total yards in the game for the Lions, only 161 for the Vikings, and Vikings won the game. Detroit held the ball for over 32 minutes to 27 minutes and change for Minnesota, and yet Detroit winds up losing and Minnesota winds up winning. And that wasn't even the weirdest thing. Max Brosmer started for the Vikings, and he's just not very good. He had 51 yards passing. Minnesota, when you factor in all the sacks and the negative yardage plays, had minus 3 net, or had 3 net yards passing. 3, as in 1, 2, 3. I mean, that is unbelievable. So how did Minnesota win this game? They won it because they outrushed Detroit 158-68. Detroit averaged 2.3 yards per carry, which is hard to believe. Detroit, with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery can't run? Yeah, that's the deal. Detroit averaged 2.3 yards per carry. Minnesota averaged 5.6 yards per carry. So Detroit had 7 sacks on the day of Brosmer, but Detroit couldn't handle, if you said, give me the number one reason Detroit lost to Minnesota, turnovers. You don't win in the NFL when you're minus 6 in turnovers. That's what Detroit was. They were minus 6. Detroit had 6 turnovers. Minnesota had none. Detroit had 4 fumbles. Goff had 3 of them by himself. And Goff also threw 2 interceptions. So, you don't win in the NFL when you're minus 3 in turnovers. You really don't win in the NFL when you're minus 6 in turnovers. I mean, that's why they lost. Goff was sacked 5 times. Goff's actually played pretty well this year, but you know what? The thing just crumbled around him with injuries. Jordan Addison had a 65-yard touchdown run. Jahmyr Gibbs held to 2.4 yards per carry. 2.4 yards per carry. I mean, you're just not going to win that way. David Montgomery, 2.5 yards per carry. Detroit, Penei Sewell went down in this game with what looked to be like a season-ending knee injury. So, I mean, the bottom line is Detroit was Detroit because they had great individual players. Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker. I mean, really, Brad Holmes has done a nice job at just stalking the Lions with lots of great players, and that's why they're great. They were great because of Ben Johnson and Brad Holmes, and yet the media jumped up and down about Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is thoroughly average, and now the Lions may wind up missing their Super Bowl window. And their Super Bowl window may have opened and closed around them. They're officially eliminated from the playoffs. With the loss today, Green Bay officially makes the playoffs. But, the bigger picture for the Lions is, are they going to get a ring? Are they going to get a ring in this era where they've been really, really good and really, really talented and have a collection of 6 or 7 of the best young players in football? In a lot of ways, the Lions remind me of the Niners. Niners have Kittle and CMC and, before this year, Debo and Ayuk and Trent Williams and Bosa and Warner and all these all-pro type players, all these Pro Bowl type players. And now Detroit has come along, and Brad Holmes in a very short amount of time Aiden Hutchinson is awesome. Penei Sewell, Brian Branch, you name it. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra. They've got all kinds of dudes. But the injuries this year crushed them. They had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they died in the second half at Levi's, and Brock Purdy beat them. And then Last year they got beat by, the Commanders. This year they don't make the playoffs. And you get the feeling that Detroit's going to have this nice little run where they don't win. They just don't win. So, Minnesota got an interception from Harrison Smith in this game. They got an interception from Byron Murphy. And Detroit had 8 turnovers. How about this for an incredible number? Detroit had 8 turnovers all season long coming into today, and they had 6 today. 6 today. Unbelievable. All right, we should tell you we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. They're also going to be opening a brand new location in 2026 in Petaluma. So thanks to Damon and Mary, the owners of Pig and a Pickle, for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. We should also tell you 49er football season all season long is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and of course Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And last but certainly not least, since it is kind of 49er week and it's a weekday, normally the Niners did have practice earlier today. We should tell you that all of our 49er practice reports all season long are brought to you by our friends at Plank. So check them out. They just opened the Hub, a brand new sports viewing site, 30-foot media wall, over 70 TVs. They've got a 15,000 square foot beer garden, 49 different beers on tap. They've got bowling, 12 lanes of bowling, bocce, arcade games. If you're a Krug Show listener, you get 15% off. Food, non-alcoholic drinks, and games. Go to plankoakland.com and check it out for yourself. plankoakland.com. It's a great place to host a party, whether for friends, family, your team at work. plankoakland.com. Check them out. You're going to absolutely love it. Really cool spot. Kevin and I bowled some games there. We thought it was really a cool spot. So plankoakland.com, and thanks to Plank. But once again, back to this game. The Lions season comes to an end. Unbelievable. And now it really puts a lot of importance. I mean, I don't think the Lions are going to beat the Bears in that last game of the year. So if the Niners are going to beat the Bears, if they're going to get by the Bears, they're going to have to do it themselves. Niners are going to have to beat the Bears. We're a couple days away from Niners-Bears, which is probably the biggest game of the year. All I'll say about this game, we'll have a lot more to say about it as we get closer, but all I'll say about this game is that 49ers are coming off a game where they're running it really well, and they need to run the ball really well against the Bears. They need to dominate the time of possession. You can run the ball on the Bears, and the key is, can the Niner run defense stop Monangi and Swift and that interior of the Bears offensive line, which is really, really talented and really good. So to me, that's the question. I think the 49ers are going to have more success running it again at the Bears, and the Bears are going to have success running it at the Niners. But that's the game right there. 49ers offense is cooking. Bears take the ball away. They have 21 interceptions, and they lead the NFL in turnover differential. If the 49ers take care of the ball in this game, I think they're going to win this game maybe by 10. If 49ers don't take care of the ball, it could be a closer game or they could lose. So to me, it really just comes down to, can Brock Purdy take care of the football? Can the 49ers take care of the football? And the Lions season, as I said, comes to an end. With the loss, they're officially eliminated. With the loss, Green Bay is officially in the playoffs. And a rough Christmas for the Lions as they go to Minnesota and the Vikings beat them in Minneapolis. 23-10 Vikings, the final. And Merry Christmas to all you guys. Thanks for supporting, of course, Pig and a Pickle and Sleeper and our friends at Plank Oakland. And thanks, of course, to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube. Merry Christmas.